Wait, Hold Up What? A podcast from the women behind Eliminate Girl Hate. Stories are the foundation of progress, and for too long, the voices of women and marginalized communities have been ignored or silenced. At Wait, Hold Up What? We're reclaiming space to share the struggles, triumphs, fears, and joy that shapes our lives. Join us as we explore the intersections of identity, equity, and empowerment, offering education, support, and a little inspiration along the way. Whether it's breaking barriers, celebrating wins, or tackling the tough stuff, this is a space for everyone to feel seen, heard, and uplifted. We invite you all to join the conversation and help us explore ways to eliminate girl hate together. Can a bra help change the trajectory of a girl's life? Did you know that nationally, only 20% of girls engage in at least 60 minutes of daily physical activity, a lower rate than boys? Or that girls' participation in sports drops off significantly from the ages of 10 to 17? Wait, hold up, what? Yeah. Some of the barriers that contribute to this include lack of financial means, lack of role models, dropping body confidence, and concerns about body changes, including breast development and the need for a sports bra. The simple intervention of a sports bra, along with the normalization of body development, can change the trajectory of a girl's relationship with body movement for her whole life. You heard that right, her whole life. Every girl deserves to feel comfortable and confident in her own body. And that's why Bras for Girls partners with more than 25 athletic brands and donors just like you to distribute new, high-quality sports bras and breast development booklets to girls in need, ranging from the age of 8 to 18. Let's get girls in well-fitting sports bras right when they need them the most. Girls plus sports equals a beautiful world. You can donate to Bras for Girls today at brasforgirls.org. And as a side note, Eliminate Girl Hate has partnered with brasforgirls.org and will be donating a proceed of all merchandise sales to helping girls get in the bras that they need and keep them in sports. You can help by shopping the Eliminate Girl Hate store today. Did you know that 80% of the world's purchases are influenced and made by women? Or that 90% of product development, manufacturing, and corporate leadership is led by men? I don't know about you, but that seems like some funky, disconnected math. This disconnect means large segments of the population are not getting their needs met because the products being made never even asked us what problems we needed to solve. Instead, companies use a pink it and shrink it philosophy. Not familiar? I bet you are. You know it. Take a man's product, make it smaller, paint it pink, sell it for 25% more. Then, when the products fail to make a dent in the market or to sell rapidly, they say things like, the market wasn't ready. Or, we were so sure it was going to work, I wonder what happened. And then they move on. I'm here to tell you, the market is most definitely ready. But the market is savvy. And putting some paint and saying it was designed for us is a slap in the face. We have real needs, and we're not settling for anything less than real solutions. If this sounds familiar to you and your business, then it's time to connect with Eliminate Girl Hate. We help businesses understand the lucrative consumer segment of women and how to meet their needs in authentic ways. From problem solving, product creation, marketing, and even human resource practices, we help create safe and equitable spaces for the female segment. And these safe spaces increase profit margins, employee retention, and brand loyalty along the way. It's time to start a revolution and meet your consumers where they are. It's time to eliminate girl hate. Check us out, eliminategirlhate.com, and find out how we can help your business today.
Welcome to Wait, Hold Up What? I'm Dawne as always, and we have a previous guest coming back, which I always think is fun, even though I don't know if it's ever happened before. So you might be our first return guest.
Love that for us.
Cheers. And she brought wine because, well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not here, but it's somewhere.
Maybe it is.
It was somewhere.
Yeah.
And in this episode, we really wanted to talk about the power of female friendships because it comes up so much in our conversations with each other, but also in both of our, I hate that I say this all the time, so I'm going to put it in quotes, and maybe I should embrace it. But in both of our healing journeys,
Yeah.
female friendships comes up a lot in that. So we're just going to go right into it. And I will start by asking you, did you have a lot of female friendships when you were younger?
Yeah,
You did?
I did.
Okay, so I did not.
Oh,
So this is really interesting. So you moved around a little bit. So what? Hard to have like one solid BFF for like a long time. Am I right?
yeah. It was like somebody who was my best friend from the time I was little. Yeah, I've had many different groups of friends.
Sure.
My mom has lots of girlfriends and always has. And she's somebody who has dragged friendships along since she was little until
Interesting.
her older age. And I think that's partly because she's got such a large family.
No,
So
yeah.
a lot of those
Cousins
friendships-
and yeah.
yeah. So maybe that's where I developed these.
It's common in
deep
Latin
friendships.
culture
Yeah.
though as well, right? Yeah.
Very strong women in my life.
Did you, like when you were growing up, would you say you were a girly girl?
No.
Okay. Tomboy?
Somewhere in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 I don't know what I was, to be honest with you, before a certain age.
Mhm.
I think my guess is I moved around so much that I was a little bit of a chameleon to whatever
There
it
you
was
go.
in the moment.
Yeah.
And like, okay, this is what's cool here.
Yeah.
Because I also was in different states and cities. And so it's like, you have to learn what's cool.
And fast.
Yeah.
When you're a child, because it's you can die.
Yes.
Essentially.
Social suicide.
You learn
Yeah.
how to make friends quickly.
Yes. Yes. And like, I was loud. Okay. Sorry. People who know me are going to be like, was. And probably podcast listeners because my voice booms. But I'm like, it was like, okay, if I can say or do something that makes people like me, maybe it's make them laugh or tell a silly joke, or maybe it's I'll know something they don't know. I'll know fun facts and I
Yeah.
can teach somebody something.
Okay.
Like I would have value in the social
Yeah.
group. That was where I thought my value would come from. Like I wasn't the sporty one. I wasn't there were sports in my life, but it wasn't that, right? And I didn't have a thing. That's been very consistent in my life until recently. Like
Okay.
I'm the oldest of 6, 3 boys, 3 girls, and they all super, super talented people. Oh my gosh, it's disgusting. Like they all have something unique. And growing up, I really saw that as the older one. And I was like, I would cry all the time to my mom. And I would be like, I don't have a talent. Like,
You're not?
no,
You thought that.
hold on.
Okay.
Life is changing in the
Yes.
last 5 years.
Yes.
So it's part of what has been baffling to me about the 5 years or transformative about the last 5 years is I'm doing things now. There's no way in hell I would have tried to do before
Okay.
because I was like, oh no, like my brother that's the closest to me in age, he's this amazing artist. He painted, he drew, he built things like, and from really young, people talked about it all the time. Oh, Nate, you're so good. I mean, great. Like,
That was
let's
his
positive
thing. Yeah.
reinforcement. That was his
Yeah.
thing. I couldn't draw a stick figure. Right. And there were a few times over the years where he would be like, well, just get some paint and paint. Like, it's easy. And then I would do it and he'd be like, yeah, maybe you don't want to do that. Like, it just wasn't like, and I used to say that we were very close growing up. And I would say I don't mean he is not smart. I did not mean it then, and I do not mean it now. But for much of our growing up, I was the brains and he was the hands, or I was the mouth and he was the hands, right? Like I would have the idea and then he could
He made it.
execute it for
Yeah.
me. So it was a great team, right? But I just never.
That's your thing.
And my mom
Yeah.
back then, I mean, I probably was like 19 or 20. And I still cried about it. I was probably older than that. That's embarrassing. But she goes, your talent is business, honey. And I was like, that's not a talent. And like stormed out of the room, right? And like so upset. Yeah. And all of the girls I know, the ones we know combined, and the ones you don't know that are in my life or whatever, they're amazingly talented. They all have this like thing that like, you're like, oof, I wish I had that. Right. And I was always amazed at how talented girls were.
Yeah.
All the girls I knew had some form of a talent. They could sing, they could act. And I tried a lot of things. I don't know about you, but I tried a lot of things. It's that chameleon thing we
Yeah.
talked about, that wanting to be worthy, conversation. I thought if I could just excel at something.
That makes a lot of sense, though. Same.
Yeah,
I did do the sports. I did do the art. I did.
Did you say you did do the sports?
Yeah,
What were your sports?
I played volleyball poorly for a really long time. And then I found lacrosse, which is my sport. Lacrosse is like, I love it because I love running.
I knew what lacrosse was when we were that age.
Yeah. I played at a school that it was the second year that it was a sport at school. And it's awesome.
And
because you get to hit people, you get to run fast. And that was great for me. I was really good at lacrosse.
So listeners, if you recall back to the Power of the Female Dollar episode, we talked about how Title IX gave access to women in sports at high school collegiate levels in ways that had not been before. This is why that mattered, right? Like this idea that you could do things that before weren't ladylike and weren't, right, all those things. Yeah. So you're on a team of girls for lacrosse.
Yes.
And they become friends?
Oh, yeah.
Do they become, is there a competitiveness within the group?
Yeah, probably, but that. So I went to an all-girls school, and that when I went to school, and other people who are younger than me have had a different experience at this particular school.
Sure.
It was literally the best experience, but I went kicking and screaming until my first day, and then I loved my experience in all-girls school. Because of this experience, I am outspoken. I am more confident had I otherwise been. And I don't feel like there was clickiness like I had experienced when I went to co-ed schools prior to me.
So this is perfect. So the last time Veronica was here, we talked about how much of the time you were growing up, you were really trying to get the male gaze, right?
Yeah, which is interesting.
You wanted male attention. Yeah. So when you go to an all-girls school, that doesn't distract.
Yeah, during the course of
the day. Yeah. After school and on weekends, different story. Yeah. And so I'm getting somewhere and I'm fumbling through it and I've only had a set. There is this notion or this belief that girls and women are catty and competitive with each other. Now, yes,
it doesn't have to be the case.
Yes, there you go. Historically, there's a reason for this, right? So if we put some historical context in it, when women started going into the workplace is actually when this narrative really started to rear its kind of ugly head. And it was because at the time, if there was a job, there was only one woman who could have the job. 5 open positions, there's no way we can hire 5 women. We have to fire one. So we didn't compete with men for jobs. We competed with women for jobs. We competed with girls for a spot on the team or a spot in student council or things like that, right? Mm-hmm. They never pitted us against boys. Even sports still today are gendered, right? And so this built a natural competition or competitiveness between girls. Then we get into teenage years and boys.
Right.
And then it becomes this competition for the male gaze. Yeah. And which it's more than the gaze, but whatever. Gaze.
Not gazed. I am going to compete for actual gaze. And I do love my gaze.
And I did not go to an all-girls school. I cannot even fathom, to be honest with you. I think that would completely change my life. How old were you when you went there?
Started sophomore year of high school.
Okay, so you did a freshman year in a co-ed school.
Yeah.
So did you immediately notice a difference by being in an all-girls school?
Yeah, not so much the lack of boys, but the ability to have a voice and speak up.
And do you think also a community with other girls?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there could be, it's not cattiness. That's not what I mean. But just like with any group of humans, right? There's frictions.
Yeah.
But, I didn't ever get this. I just got the sense that it was okay to raise my hand and speak up. And it was also okay to not know an answer.
That's really good.
But we talked about that at school too. The benefit of being here is that you're a woman who can speak.
Yeah.
And we're going to teach you everything that there is to be successful.
Yeah.
And we're going to push you because we believe in you. Where we didn't,
Were you a person before that was in brownies or Girl Scouts or anything like that?
Never into that.
So I did Girl Scouts in the 6th grade. I'm pretty sure I did it in the 4th grade because I have My memories are fuzzy back then, but I do have a memory of selling Girl Scout cookies, but I don't remember anything else about the Girl Scouts.
Okay.
6th grade, I moved back here. I moved in with my mother and I joined the Girl Scouts. And in my mind, and again, memories are hazy, that's the first time I was around a group of girls.
Interesting.
I cannot say that I had girl friends in school. I did have a girlfriend, Amy, and Amy lived across the street from me. And so we'd become friends over the summer and then it went into school. But I didn't have this like clique of girls. So the Girl Scouts was the first time I was around a collective of girls. Very short-lived. I'm pretty sure it was only 6th grade. I have one picture. The beach camping trip. Don't remember this camping trip, but and there's a girl named Carol in the picture and a girl named Zondra. And Zondra has lots of memories of that Girl Scout troop. And because sometimes I see her and talk to her now and I'll be like, yeah, I totally remember that. I also am pretty sure that the majority of the cookies I sold were eaten by me.
God, those things.
Oh, I'm a Samoa girl.
Okay.
Whoa. I will also say, I cannot say enough good things about the Girl Scouts. Even though my memory is a little hazy and a little fuzzy, as an adult, I have done deep, deep, deep dives into the Girl Scouts. And Daisy Gordon-Lowe, or Juliet Gordon-Lowe, however you want to refer to her, who started the Girl Scouts. And that story is one of the most fascinating stories of a self-made woman you will ever read. Get the biography, autobiography, whatever. I'll try to figure out which one it was I read and put it in the show notes because it's just fascinating. And I was so inspired by it. Total detour. So then, junior high, did you have a clique of girls? So before you go to a girls' school?
Junior high. Oh, God.
See, I loved it.
So that was the one period of time where I was in one place. So
Same.
Let's see.
It was the first
5th
time.
and 6th through the end of 8th grade, I was in the same community.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from elementary school and then to middle school. And when we all transitioned to middle school, you know how the elementary speed into middle school. My one bestie was now everybody's bestie.
Yeah.
And she was really cool and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And that was my awkward stage and probably where I developed a lot of additional trauma around how I looked physically. That was just not, it was not.
And bad habits, really.
Yeah, it was like literally not my era. Those 2 years of middle school. So my group of friends definitely changed. And I then have always been somebody who has met, I'm not a staple in any one group of friends. I have many different groups of friends.
So junior high school for me was a little renaissance. I loved it. Now, I was not cool, any stretch of the imagination, but it was the first time I was in the same place for an extended period of time. And so I got to explore a little bit. I tried sports. I tried peer counseling, student government. I was in the math team. I was on the science team.
What was in it you do?
I was the editor of the year. Like I did all the things people do in high school. I did in junior high. Flourished. I started protests. I got a soda machine kicked out. I did a walkout for the Gulf War. I was a lot.
That's amazing.
Which meant he didn't have a lot of friends. Okay. Now, I wasn't what we would refer to as unpopular or out. I was just in the middle and I had no safe place. Right. So it was like there were people I hung out with and some of those continued into the first part of high school. But I just felt like it was somebody on the outside looking in. I never felt connected to them. I never felt good enough for them. I never felt in. And I just kind of felt like I was right here.
But you loved your experience.
But I loved school.
Okay.
I really did. I liked school. But I was the kind of person, and I still do this. So my therapist said to me, most of the people that have gone through similar things to you, 90% of people manifest it in a way different way than you do. Like I beat you to the punch, right? If you are going to think I'm ugly, guess what? I'm going to wear the craziest freaking costume to school today so that we're laughing instead of mocking, right? Like I was very much about how do I game the system so that the joke isn't on me. So I would just...
So you're in control.
I've always been I never knew it until much later in life, but I was very much a control freak. How do I control so that my safety remains? And so I would dress every holiday. By the way, crazy costume, not on Halloween. They were. I went as the Fruit of the Loom grapes one year. I went as an 8-ball, like full on blow up before that kind of stuff was cool. I dressed up for Easter and Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day and President's Day, like full costumes. Every outfit I wore to school was a form of a costume. Like I color coordinated where no one color could touch the same color. So it'd be black, red, black, red, black, red, but I couldn't have black and black touching. Very, very control freak. Yeah. And when I went into high school, I had met some people and it became the very boy-centered time, but in a group of people that, well, I had no business being in.
Okay.
And so like you, although I think it would be considered sophomore year because I went to a 7th through 9th junior high school.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It was right before they made that switch here. So 9th or 10th grade, I went to a traditional high school. I didn't do, it wasn't for me. I got teased a lot by girls, not boys.
This is not.
No, this is how nerdy I was. I was obsessed with TLC.
Oh, yeah.
As in T-Baw's Left Eye and Chili, for everybody who doesn't know, and especially Left Eye. So I loved Left Eye. I also was a very big Salt and Pepper girl. I loved that these women were saying whatever they wanted, that they were like, they were outward, and they talked about their sexuality. And I was so virgin didn't even come into play. Like I was so sheltered about those types of things. I didn't have my first kiss until I was like 16. Like, and by the way, I only had a first kiss because someone said to me, "Oh, you're turning 16 next week. Are you never been kissed or never been missed?" And I was mortified that I would have to say never been kissed. So I made 2 boys kiss me in the same day just to make sure it really counted.
I also love that you forced it.
I did. These boys did not want to kiss me, but I was like, look, it's not a big deal. We don't have to tell anybody. Just kiss me. It's literally by a little, like, those green, those like little green machines that are on the street. I don't know if they're water places or for street signs, electrical boxes or whatever, but they're just like a little green box that'll be like near a stoplight.
Yeah.
I'm walking down that in Beaverton and said, "Hey, stop right now. Just give me a little kiss." They weren't even like real kisses. But,
Well, no, don't say that. They were real kisses.
sure, they just weren't like passionate, Yeah. We didn't knock any socks off or whatever you want to say. Anyways, and so I got made fun of. I like to dress like TLC. So I would put the Band-Aids on. I had the glasses. I would go to Planned Parenthood and get colored condoms and wear them on my clothes. So I got called a whore all over the place. A slut whore screaming at me in the hallways, but it was not guys, it was girls. And like so much so that the health teacher, it was the baseball coach, had to pull me aside. I got beat up a few times, like just really, really bad.
Don't say it.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you later. It's in this neighborhood though. And finally, I just stopped going to class. So I would get on the bus by myself. I would skip school and I would take the bus downtown to Powell's bookstore. And I would sit in Powell's bookstore for the whole school day reading. Like, I'm not cool, right? Like, I wasn't out there like running the streets.
You had pot.
I was just reading books. Yeah. And so finally I found a school that I could apply to go to. It was the first magnet school. And I was like, I can't do this. This can't be my life. And I applied to go to this magnet school. It was 6 teachers, 100 students for its first year. And it focused on art. And I'm like, oh, I still can't draw a stick figure.
But that's not the only form of art.
You don't know that when you're
not when
15,
you're 15.
right? You're like,
Yeah.
But they added that it was for art and oral advocacy. And I was like, that sounds like talking.
That is your...
I'm an expert.
Yeah.
And so I went. And like you, even though it wasn't an all-female school, there were no boys. There were.
But they weren't any...
Well,
boys.
the first boy I met who I became very good friends with, came to school on the first day dressed as a vampire with teeth and fake blood and a cape. Like, this was a school for the beautiful weirdos, right? Like, the people that were teased.
Yeah,
and,
you were like, this, I'm home.
yeah, but there was no like, oh, I can't wait to date these guys, right? Like, there was no sexual tension for me in that school at all.
Also wonderful.
It's free, very
You
free.
can learn.
And I could dress however I wanted, and it didn't matter. No one called me out for
I'm good. Yeah.
girls and boys, right? Like, it wasn't whatever it was. And yeah, I think that does create a very interesting learning environment and an environment to express yourself, right? Did you go to college?
Yeah.
Normally? So like right out of high school?
Yes, I went right out of high school, and then I took like 4 years off after my sophomore year, and then I barreled through in a year, basically, my last part of college because I got pregnant.
Okay. So
then
during this time, do you still have a lot of female friendships?
Yeah.
Or is it drifted more to male?
No,
Okay.
I've always had a really strong,
That's awesome.
lot of females in my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I think that.
And love my girlfriends.
And where were you meeting them then? Were they high school girlfriends or were they college?
In college.
Okay.
So some of my closest friends, I mean, I met them all in class, but one of my closest friends, we ended up moving in together, and or two girlfriends I moved in with, but the one, we did all of our exercise classes together, and then the other one, we partied together, and then I took my hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
I was in for a little bit. When I decided to go back to school and actually go back to school, I didn't socialize with people from college. I had like other friends that I had met outside of college.
Mom friends too? Like when
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
But yes, once I had my daughter, lots of
Mom friends came in. I had female friends. I don't want to act like I didn't have female friends, but my life certainly revolved around a group of guys
Okay.
through high school. And then what would be your college years. Now, I dabbled in college early on, but I didn't graduate until my 30s.
Yeah.
Like, it took me a long time. Yeah, it took me a very long time to finish school.
I had other.
I had to work. I left home very early. So I was always working 2 or 3 jobs. So you could maybe do one class at a time, but you couldn't really do the rest because you're paying. So I was like, even as a senior in high school, I had 2 jobs plus I did 2 internships. I was very, very busy just trying to figure out, like, I worked at Wallpapers to Go for 4 years. Like, oh yeah, girl. Hanging wallpaper displays and selling wallpaper like a mad lady.
Sure. Whatever.
Just fell down, but whatever.
It's okay.
Wallpapers changed. And I will say that it was when I turned 18, the summer after 18, is when I met who have now been girlfriends with for 30 years, who we both know, which is Miko. So I was 18 when we met. And that meeting is such a pivotal point in my life when it comes to male versus female relationships, because the day that we met through a friend, Melanie.
Oh, yes.
We met through a friend at Melanie's house, and we were all going out dancing to a 16 and under dance club called The Quest, 2nd and Pine. And like, we were wearing Calvin Klein overalls, and like this is when you could be spunky at the club. And we were what I would lovingly refer to as cage girls, but
Or those girls.
but not the way cage girls are, the connotation is.
Yeah.
Where we went, it wasn't a cage, it was staged. There was one that did have cages, Planet Rock.
What was that? Where
It was by Curls Jr. on 6th, kind of down from
that was
Nickeltown.
before.
Yeah. I'm a little older than you.
Yeah.
Anyways, but it was like,
But I get it. You
Yeah.
were there to dance.
yeah, we were there to dance, and I did not want men grinding on me. And I knew all the bouncers. So if I came in and wanted that, they would let me go in there by myself. But I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Like, this was not a sex pot moment, right? I was always very conservative from that perspective. But when we met that night and we went out dancing, I was friends with a lot of break dancers.
Okay.
So weird. And like breaking crews. And one of the girls, I won't say who, one of the girls was interested in one of them and asked me to introduce, and I did. And that started a friendship and within that group. And she and I, Miko and I, we really clicked right off the bat. And from that moment on for like 6 months straight, I do not believe there was any weekend that she was not at my house.
Oh.
And I lived on my own and she was still in high school, right? Like there was not a weekend that we were apart for a minimum of 6 months. That had never occurred to me in life. That had never happened to me where I was like really deeply
That closes up.
integrated in a girl-girl
Yeah.
friendship. And it really changed how I viewed what female friendships could be. That was like my first kind of cataclysmic shift in female friendships because we're nothing alike still. We don't look alike. We don't sound alike. We don't act alike. What we are interested in is oftentimes completely opposite.
Yeah, but you do have very similar core values.
Yeah, values for sure. For sure. But it just worked because of that. And back then, because there was all this pitting girls against each other, there was nothing to pit against each other because we were so different.
And so it was
so you didn't have to, like, that protective layer wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, because you always had girlfriends, did you ever have a protective layer built with them early on? Like, were you 100% yourself with your girlfriends? To the best you knew who you were at the time?
I think so. Okay. I think so. But I've learned so much about myself through my girlfriends and the mistakes I've made.
Sure. But do you think that's new, or do you think you also learned back then?
Always.
Okay, always.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mostly through what happens. What happens when you mess up in friendships and like the bad stuff. So like when you're not really being a good friend and the automatic response or learning is now my friendship is going away from you.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot about friendship through that lens. And then I've learned more recently, like the depth of friendship now that I'm single, because there's no man in my life who takes precedence over my girlfriends. Yeah. And I never want to lose that. Like I want my girlfriends actually to always be my most important. I think they're the ones who are always here. Like through any relationship, your girlfriends or your friends, because it can be guy friends too. Like that's your constant.
Yeah. They have all these charts, like now that social media does these types of things where it's like, you know, the first 20 years of your life, the people you spend the most time with, right? It's your siblings and your parents. And then you get into adolescence and it switches to friends, right? And you get into adulthood and it's like your partner or your children or whatever. And it shows what the most consistent relationships in your life are, these charts, which I think are really interesting. And I'll be honest, the most important relationship in my life for my entire life up till, and I don't want to say it's not now, but up till now, let's say, would have been my siblings.
Oh, yeah.
And oftentimes it got in the way of friendships because I didn't go out with the girls when they wanted to go. I didn't see it that way at the time. I definitely saw it as, no, I'm hanging out with the people that I'm spending my whole life with. Okay. Right? Like I'm investing there. That's how I saw it. I can see the caretaking thing now after therapy and some other things where it was like, oh, wow, that was
your responsibility.
Yes.
I didn't see it that way.
Not at the time.
Thicker than water for you.
Yes. Yeah. I thought those are going to be the people that are always going to be around. And so there's a big age difference, right? So I'm the oldest. There's about 14 or 15 years between me and the youngest. Both girls are 10, 11 years younger than me. Okay. But once they got to a certain age, they're my road dogs, and in a weird way, like I just wanted to be the most amazing big sister that would help them avoid all the pitfalls of being a girl, and I would be the one to teach them how to be a girl.
Oh, that's exhausting.
I think they are the ones who have taught me how to be a girl. Now, right? I'm 48, 49, they're 38, 37, somewhere in there, right? And seeing the advancements in the world just in those 10 years around gender and women expressed through them who were given permission because of me to explore maybe a little bit. Obviously, my parents had something to do with that as well, but
like, throw yourself at light.
Yes.
And like
they had an extra layer in there. Yeah. And they could see what I failed at and what I didn't do well at, because I failed spectacularly and publicly a lot. Still It's great. I don't do anything quietly. And so, yeah, I think they are the ones that taught me the most about being comfortable being a woman, because I don't think I was ever comfortable being a woman. I was apologetic for being a woman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. By the way, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, I just meant like that
But I think
hits really hard.
it does. But if you think about it,
Mhm.
and this may not, again, this may be in other conversations we've had, but when you prioritize the male gaze,
Yeah.
you're also being apologetic for being the woman that you are,
Yeah, it's a good
right?
Yeah.
It's all perspective and how you look at it. And mine was, I wasn't good enough to get men.
In your mind. Your experience taught you that.
Yes, thank you. Look at this reframe. I have never been popular with boys from a physical or sexual component. Like, I've always been the BFF. Always. If my best friend had a boyfriend, I was their BFF. Like, not just hers, I was theirs, right? That is a trend that has been pretty consistent in my life. And because I think I have a very equal side masculine and feminine side energy. And when I was younger, I played up the masculine side more.
Maybe it was safer.
Mm-hmm. And while that friendship at 18 was the first time I was around a girl, I wouldn't say there was a big clique of us necessarily at the time. I didn't fully embrace a sisterhood until I was in my late 20s. And I moved to California and I started working at Oakley. And my department, which was not normal, the company as a whole was very masculine. And we worked in prescription eyewear. And the like 6 people that were kind of like leading it were all women. Very, very rare. Yeah. And we just became, like we were called the RX girls, which is slightly demeaning.
A little bit.
But at the time, it was also a badge of honor because it was like we were known and we all got along really well. We traveled the world together. So my awakening to the world happened with women.
Yeah.
And my possibilities happened with women. But all the while, the women at home, I made sure to stay connected to.
Which is important.
Yes, but their life was different. They were having kids. Mm-hmm. They were getting married. And so I would really struggle coming home because we would have and you were at some of these things. This is a very long time ago, but we would be at like a brunch or an event and everybody was talking about like washing machines and like daycare and things like that. And I'm like, I don't even have a washing machine in my apartment. Like, I don't know how they work. Like, I felt so out of sync and out of place. And I felt like I was failing as a girl when I came home.
Oh.
Because I wasn't married. I didn't have a partner. I wasn't settling down. I was so in wild oats, but not the way that's supposed to mean. Because I also wasn't doing that. I wasn't traveling the world having trysts.
Right. But you
I sure wish I was.
Like getting experiences and
I was eating. Girl was I eating. I also I would ask people because I had never been anywhere. My biggest dream in life was to go to New York and see a Broadway show because I had dreamed of being on Broadway. And I got to go. It's very exciting. This was my first Broadway show right here. The Reflection is Hard. So it's Color Purple. It's my favorite movie. This magazine sent me there with my girlfriends.
Yes.
Third row center.
Oh.
I'm bawling. At the end of the show, cast comes out for their bow. And the woman who played Sophia looks at me and goes, honey, this is why we do it. Oh. And the whole place turned and looked at me. And I'm like a snotty mess. Yeah. But it's one of the best moments of my entire life. I'm not even going to lie. And so I made travel intentional for me.
Yeah.
If I'm going to miss out on all these other experiences that you're supposed to have as a woman, I'm going to make sure I have something else in its place.
Gosh, I don't know. Your experience sounds so much more.
I see it very differently now. Yeah. Right?
And I hate to say so much better.
It's not.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different.
Yeah,
But
it's all perspective.
I was given permission to find out who I was
Earlier.
earlier. And yet the messages I got were to be ashamed of that, which I think are slightly different now.
Exactly.
Yes.
During that period of time, I could understand that.
Yeah. And so even if we talk about some of my friends, we would say, wow, I thought your life was going to be my life and my life was going to be your life. Like this is not what I had imagined for myself because I didn't dream that big. Yeah. I never dreamt of marriage. I just thought I would. I never dreamt of kids. I just thought that's what you did. And I never dreamt of a career because you weren't supposed to have one. I could work, but I couldn't have a career. And the beauty of my time at Oakley is it gave me a career.
Right.
And then it gave me a passion, which, that's a lot. Like, thank you, Oakley. Like, I couldn't have imagined those things. And it gave me a confidence in my ability to take care of myself, even though I had been doing it.
Yeah. Forever.
For a really long time.
It gave you credibility in your mind, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And it sometimes worked to my advantage. Like, I'd go and people would be out. And I'd be like, oh, I feel like I have something to talk about. But because no one else's life was like that, they felt the way about my life that I felt the way about theirs. Yeah. And it created disconnect between me and people that weren't also doing it. And so it leads to now. So your brain, I swear that this little bit of wine just made me so warm. I was like, woo! Your marriage, children, right? Where you were in your head when you were talking about, like, I was looking for worthiness and I was looking for this space could be a similar journey, right? Because it can isolate you from the friendships you know to be good and powerful and valuable.
Oh, for sure.
But you are like, oh, but I'm going through this and maybe it's embarrassing or maybe I'm not.
Well, the only thing
confident.
I was focused on was my relationship, which was super toxic and not where I should have been. But thankfully I did go through it. Mm-hmm. But it separated me from my girlfriends. Mm-hmm. And so now that, like, I don't have any of that in the way, I can just focus on my girls who are my backbone, who are so fun, who give me so much enjoyment in life.
And I think that's where our journeys converge, right? Yeah. Or meet, because I don't know if I used converge right. I'm thinking two roads converge in the forest.
Merging.
Robert Frost, right? So is that it is in my 40s that this concept of female friendships has solidified. And while I may have had moments of recognition in the past, it is not until now where I truly see the power of it.
Oh,
the connection of it, the permission that girlfriends provide.
Maybe it's the choosing of the humans, though, right? So, like, through the evolution of the finding of friends, we weed out the people who are on our same journey or who are not at that present moment, aligned with where you're going. And as you get older, if you have the permission to say, that doesn't work.
Well, I also think friendships are different as you age, right? Like, when you're young,
they can.
Yes. I was also going to say, I think it's different for this generation. So in our generation, without social media, without the internet, you meet and develop friends over shared and common interests. We all watch the same TV show and we all listen to the same music. That has exploded and blown up, that concept, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird. Like, even if I use music, the music is so wild to me now because I will think I am listening to an artist who is globally known and no one I know has ever heard of.
Right.
But they're in my feed all the time.
You have access.
Yeah.
Everything available.
Yes. Yeah. And they're in my feed all the time. So I'm like, well, everybody must love them the same as I. My friends are like, that's gross. I can't stand it. Right. Because literally,
everyone's taste is different.
I maybe have one friend that has similar interests as me. All the rest of my friends, we actually don't have a lot in common. But I think time has allowed that to happen because of the culture we live in now. Everyone changes and we don't all listen to the same things or watch all the same things. But I also think there's an evolution of healing self and age that says, I don't need you to be my everything. I can have 17
People who bring out something a little bit different.
Yes. And it also allows you to live in a world that is less homogenous. Because I think when we're younger, if all our friends like all the same things as us, we don't learn from them.
Right. But that is for that purpose at that time.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Of course.
Yeah.
And it helps you weed out what you do like and what you don't like. And yeah.
Evolutionarily important.
Yeah.
Right. And
For
so you
sure.
play those things out.
For sure.
You develop education.
Yep.
And you meet people that are different from you. You expand your palette of the.
And now I think also I'm now in a place where I can stand up for myself with friends, which I couldn't do before, because the way you looked at men was the way I looked at friends. Oh, I didn't feel worthy to be their friend. Okay. And so if I wasn't doing something, if I wasn't
it's performative
the best friend possible, like did everything for you, never said no,
you wouldn't want me.
Mm-hmm. And I don't feel that way at all anymore. Like if they don't want me, okay. Which sounds harsh. It's not meant to be, but
I think that's also protective for you as well, right? But then again, that goes to the weeding out of people who aren't currently aligned with where you're at. And that's okay.
Yes, seasons and reasons.
But like your time on earth is your time on earth. This is your experience.
Yes.
So you get to surround yourself with whomever that is going to be supporting of that.
And the allowance, I'm going to be honest, guys, we're filming 2 episodes in one day. So I get confused on which thing we said and which. But when we have talked before, we talked about how we have these like really deep esoteric conversations. I don't have those with everybody, right? So there might be a different friend where that is the person, like I have a friend who lives out of state. This person has been so crucial in my healing journey without even really realizing it, because they were the first person in my life who 100% champions me in every single thing that I do. And I could not be a more different and difficult person for her probably to do that with. I'm an emotional mess. She is very stoic and like can remove herself from those things. And she just thinks so highly of me. And it was very hard to get used to. Very, very hard to get used to.
That totally sounds like something that you need to lean into.
Oh, yeah. Oh, trust me. I'm like all in it right now. Like the last 5 years have taught me that.
Make you question anything. Or like the face you just made was like, how could anybody think these things of me? How could they not? That's for you to.
Yeah. It was more like, I don't know if it was as much about me thinking crappy about myself. There might be an element of it. But it was more like, oh my God, I can't believe I just cried in front of her again. She hates crying. And yet she didn't make me feel like she hated it.
Yeah.
Right? Like
that's a safe space.
I didn't look at her and think she's so annoyed with me right now.
You were saying.
I felt, yes, I will say she is a person in which I feel 100% safe. And I have 2 people like that. And that's the first time ever in my whole life.
And that's the power of friendship.
Yes.
Female.
Yes.
You can get to that space, right?
Yes.
You gotta get all the.
And that doesn't knock any other friendships I have, right? Different people have the capacity to give and receive in different ways. Yeah.
We have different friendships for different reasons.
I just never want like one of my friends to listen there and be like, is she talking about me? Am I a dick? That's not what I mean at all, right? It's like just different people give you and support you in different ways. And I've also seen friendships that I used to be where I didn't know how to set a boundary or be myself. I've seen these people change and me change. So it's almost like separately we've been going through our own healing journeys. Yeah. And then that has brought us closer in friendship, even though our journeys were completely separate.
But that's what's so cool and unique about friendships. And we have this concept that we need to be in relationship with partner, right? Or companion, right? Whichever
You prefer?
But the cooler thing is friendship.
Yes.
That comes with you along the whole journey. Because for me, a boyfriend or a husband, that's fleeting, really, truly, right? Like it's intense and it's emotional and it's your everything person.
Yeah.
But guess what? When that's over, that shit's over, babe. And your girlfriend, or if you have guy friends, that's a person.
A platonic friendship.
Your platonic friend is going to be the one who sticks by you and picks you up.
And this is, I know that this technically goes to the previous episode recorded maybe better, but this is the struggle that I have when I see people in relationships, because we have one dialogue that says your partner should be your best friend. Right?
Yeah.
And then they do something that says, hey, this life we built together, we're not doing it anymore.
Right.
And some people then say that person is still their best friend. And I don't understand that, because if they're not good enough to share your life with, how can they be giving you what you need as a best friend? Right? Like, why do we give some people more latitude and others less?
Right.
Right? I think that's what I mean by that.
Well, there's a give and the take.
Yeah.
Like, what am I getting from this relationship?
Yes. Where's the breaking point?
Yeah. But for me, my experience in relationship is that they always end. And then
a non-platonic relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They always end. Well, the friendships can ebb and flow also, right? But less so, or just in a different way, because it's not connected intimately.
See, I thought that about all relationships. I just
but I do
assume
have
everything
that have ended.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we all do.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the but the central theme is for me is that like friendship is longer lasting.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Intimate.
Then a non-platonic.
But there are people who that's the opposite for them.
Yes.
And that's beautiful. That's just been my experience.
Yeah. And I think it's ultimately every single person's journey, regardless of gender, regardless of sexuality or any of those things, right? It is about pulling in closer the things that feed you and pushing further away the things that starve you.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
that's a good point.
It's like
what allows you to grow and what stagnates you.
Right. And even like Miko and I talk about this a lot. A lot is relative, but we have said this before, is that I don't worry about my friendship with her. Mm. If we don't talk for a month, we don't talk for a month.
Doesn't mean
I'm not at home going, she hates me, we're in a fight, whatever. Like, I don't think like that. So if we are in a fight, you're going to have to tell me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that, because I've known it's 30 plus years, right? Like, you have a kid, you have a mortgage, you have a job. Like, I have my things, right? Yeah. And you've got to go where you're being fed at the time. And just because you are not feeding me right now
doesn't mean that we're not still.
Doesn't mean we're not good. It just means your capacity is full and my capacity is full. I draw the line at people that repeatedly.
Yeah, I hear where.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because I think right now we live in a culture where everybody's like, set your boundary and bye. I don't think it's that cut and dry. I think you have to know when people's plates are full.
Yeah.
And when you need to support them and when you need to back off.
Throttle on or off.
And it goes all these different ways. Right? Yeah. And I also think, I struggle with mental health issues. And so sometimes I need to deal with that in a way that other people can't relate or understand.
Yeah.
And through this friendship and the ebbs and flows, there's an understanding of that. Oh, you know what? Dawne might need me to back off now. But I will also get a call where it's been like, no, you need to show your face. It's been too long. I need to know. I need signs of life. Right. I need to know that you're okay.
But that's friendship. Having the person who's been there for that long to say, I know when to give you space, and then I know when to be in your face.
Oh, look at that t-shirt. Yes, I know when to give you space. Yes. I'm going to make that a quote. Yes. I love that.
I know when to give you space and when to be in your face.
There's a really interesting interview, and I cannot source it because the Instagram I saw didn't source it, but it was a podcast where Selena Gomez and Betty Blanco were on it.
Oh, interesting.
And he was talking about how sometimes she can get spicy, right? And that it was such a really cool conversation on healthy masculinity. That wasn't the purpose, but that's what I got from it. But he was saying sometimes you need to be able to read the person that you are with. And if you can't read it, to ask the question of what they need right now. And so he was saying, like, I let it go. But when I know it's about to explode, I know I need to do something to move the missile, if you will. And so he's like, sometimes that's a hand on the leg, a hug. Sometimes it's like, what do you, like, I've heard, he didn't say this, but I've heard somebody else say this. Do you need me to listen? Do you need me to support? Or do you need me to solve? Get clarification from the onset.
Before you just jump in with your thing.
Yes. And I think while that works in, intimate partnership, I think that works really well in friendships.
I think it works in all aspects.
And you get more space in a friendship to do that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're just a little
Because you're
saucier.
not coming with all of this other stuff. Like,
Yes.
I'm sorry, you
The
did
baggage. Yes.
load or unload the dishwasher, right?
Yes.
Or like,
Yes.
it's been X amount of time since we've been intimate. Like,
Yes.
There's a lot of baggage that also
Yes.
carried in a daily intimate
Yes.
relationship.
Yes.
And another reason why I like to opt out of those currently.
Well, and also, again, not from personal experience, but I'm a talker. I need to process out loud. If I am with a person who cannot allow me to do that, friendship or intimate relationship,
That is hard.
it will be hard for me. So
Yeah.
you have to understand that about me. And if you cannot be the receiver of my processing, then you need to let me go find someone who can. I don't mean permanently, but I mean in the moment. Like, hey, you need to give me the space to process and then come back so that I don't say something I regret. I don't know. I'm not an angry person. So I was going to say, like, I don't act out. But I don't know what that looks like. Actually, so I don't cry. That's what it is. Because if I get overwhelmed, that anxiety pulls up for me, and it is a frustration that you are not getting what I'm saying, and you can't possibly understand it. And I cry, and people don't receive crying well. A lot of people really struggle with that because it makes them feel like,
Well, they have to do something now.
yes. Or like they think they're trying to make me feel, I hear that a lot. You're crying to make me feel bad, and you're using that against me.
But sometimes people do that.
I get it.
Yeah, sometimes people do that. So I can understand that perspective, but sometimes we just need to.
I cry watching commercials about dogs and babies. I promise that's not what I'm using it for.
We must make space for people to have an emotion.
Yes.
And you don't have to say anything.
Yes,
That's
an
where
emotional
people
response.
really get caught up.
Yeah.
You have to make space.
Yes.
And space can just be to sit.
Yes. I have to work on that though, because I like to solve.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah.
If you sit and you create space between the intersection of the message and you actually having something to say, you make space for so many other things, like understanding.
Yeah.
Right? Or just sitting with your own emotion of what's happening.
Yes.
And that's okay.
But
You
we're
don't
taught to
have a thing to say.
We're taught to be ashamed of our emotional response.
Yeah. And you're also taught that you have to have some sort of rebuttal to something.
Yes.
Or we can't just sit in silence.
Yes. And I think that's what female friendships provides, maybe more than a traditional cis heterosexual intimate relationship, is there is a space that isn't often afforded in those other environments. And again, my personal experience is that this is a mature woman's space, female space, right?
Yeah. When you're speaking about.
Yeah, that as we age, there is a space we give for things that is different than maybe what we would have done in our 20s and 30s.
Oh, 100%. Because many of us were not as evolved. I am speaking about myself. I made so many mistakes as a friend.
Yes.
Oh my, there's so many embarrassing things.
Oh my gosh.
Like, oh, I get why you don't like me.
I also think interesting, I'd wonder what you think. The permission to admit the mistake and apologize, and then the permission to accept the apology, I think is really different now.
Can also take a lot of time just depending on somebody's own emotional state. Yeah. Yeah.
And I also think there's room for not accepting it.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with a friend recently where they were like, they expressed it was something about me, and they were like, you just need to forgive. And I said, Oh, I have. I'm good. Like, I've forgiven, I processed, whatever. And our definitions of forgiveness were different because this person's definition of forgiveness was that things went back to the way that it was.
Oh, sometimes that never happened.
And mine was, no, I've processed how I feel about it. I'm not angry anymore. I want the best for this person. But what it was before can never happen again.
It will be different.
It will be different. It just has to be, right?
Yeah.
And so I think also being able to have those conversations in trusted and safe spaces, like to me, the power of female friendships as a 40-something-year-old woman is space and grace, right?
Yeah.
Those two words that are often overused, I know I use them a lot.
Yeah.
That is the space where I get that. I do not get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right? And the exception, I would say, is with my sisters. But
Sisters aren't ever going anywhere.
Yeah, it's
y'all are stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
The boys may think they can get away, but the girls, you are going nowhere. I'm sorry. It's just not going to work. Yeah.
So and I think that's the difference too in my experience is that I'm an only child.
Yes.
So I don't have a sister outside of like my homegirls.
Yeah.
My girls are my and then that has changed too. There are female friends of mine who were my ride or dies who I don't even talk to anymore because maybe we had a falling out or
evolved.
It's just changed, right? They moved and we moved on.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. But I have learned so much about life from my girls.
What is your favorite thing to do with your girlfriends?
I love just sitting around and talking about things that I've learned. And we'll drink some wine. We listen to some music. I love the laughing that when we're just having a great time. There's a plethora of emotions that can happen within a 2-hour hangout session.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What do we all learn about ourselves in the last time that we've seen each other? What were our epiphanies? Okay, now let's talk about some really funny shit that men have done that's been crazy. What are some shows that you're watching?
It's a very attention deficit disorder meetup.
It's great for us with ADHD. Yeah. And probably most of my friends have ADHD. Which
hey, cheers.
That's us.
I have it. See.
Yeah.
So mine is similar. I feel very different because I don't have children and I haven't been married. And so I don't like sitting in the house.
Oh, you like to be out?
I like to be out.
I also love to be out and out exploring.
I like it because in my experience, the women loosen up when they're not in their home environment where they are always putting in labor. So it's like if we're at someone's house, they're cooking for us, they're cleaning up as they go, the kids are running in and out.
And then as your friend, how can I help?
Yes.
Right. But if you're out maybe to dinner or
they get to fully disconnect.
That's great.
And so I think, I also don't like 10 people.
So under 10 people.
Yeah, it's probably, I would say 4 to 5. Yeah. I like a smaller group so that at the table,
people can hear it.
You can all hear and we're in one conversation instead of 5. Yeah. And I like it to be over really good food. I love to share a 3 or 4 hour meal where everybody's at the table.
Have a memory.
I do.
You're so good at making.
I like an experience. I want everything to be an experience. Yeah. And I have learned, so if I were really being honest, my favorite things to do would not be sitting around and talking, which is wild for how much I like to talk. I want to have an experience. Okay. I want to go do something. I want to
you want to walk around and see.
I want to dance. I want to learn. I want to listen to music. I just want to have fun, right? I want to be free.
Yeah.
I want to be free. Yeah. I don't want to be worrying about oh, wait, we were sitting here and now everybody's standing over. Do I have to get up and stand over there now? All of that just stresses me out. But if we're going to go do an adventure together, that's really what I like, right? Let's explore and learn together. And there's all this research in the dating world, but I have to imagine it's all where so Aziz Ansari wrote a book called Modern Romance. Aziz Ansari is a comedian. Okay. For those who didn't know, Parks and Rec, like all this kind of stuff. So he did this thing. It's such a cool book because he used his stand-up tour and his resources to research how we date in the modern world. And this book is a little old now. It's probably like 5-10 years old now. But so he worked with, I think, OkCupid, and he worked with 6 cities around the world. And he explored how dating has changed. So like when we talk about like the 1900s, most people married somebody who lived within a city block of that, like those types of things. Yeah. And how now we have all these options. And so we swipe on people that before would have been a 10 and now they're a 2 and all these kinds of things.
Because somehow you think that you're
right. Because now you have options you have global options instead of a city block of options, right? But I think in friendships, there's this concept in there that works as well. And it is this idea that you can better understand what you want and what you need. And so there's this study that they did where there's a rickety bridge. It's a walkway bridge, not a driving bridge, but walkway. And people are going on hikes. And there's a attractive woman at the start of the hike with a clipboard. Okay. And she says, when you're done walking across the bridge and come back, I'd like to ask you some questions, right? And so they would do that and they would do it. The people who walked across the bridge or whatever were like some weird percentage more likely to ask this attractive woman out after they did something that was an experience. It was a little dangerous.
Okay.
And so they...
So now I'm confident.
Yeah, I read this book so long ago, so I'm probably butchering it. But there was this idea that when you go on a date, going out and having a drink for happy hour, you're less likely to connect with somebody than if you did something where you both learned something, you had to teach somebody something, or you bonded in this experience that you might always remember. This is why I love experiences. So much of my life was marketing. And I would go to events and plan events.
Yeah.
And you would see this like optical conference that they're all the same and they're all boring, not optical, but conferences in general, right? But there was one thing we did. We all learned how to drum together in a room. I will never forget that drumming experience for the rest of my life and the 4 women I did it with. Right. That's the kind of things I want to do with my girlfriends, is they expand us, right? They help us grow, and we learn so much more about each other in those moments than we do sitting around at the house and chatting or watching a movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest.
But I mean, I hear that.
I'd rather watch a movie by myself. I hate watching movies with you guys. I really do. I love all of you, but you guys talk through the movie, and then you guys are like, I hate this, and I love this. It takes us like 4 hours to decide on a movie. And I'm like, guys, I could have watched 4 movies by now.
Dancing in the house.
I do like dancing
and
in the
listening
house.
to the music that I wouldn't have maybe been exposed to.
I was going to say, I like dancing in the house when we can just decide and leave the music. Not when it's like, hey, can you switch it to this song? And we listen to 10 seconds of every song.
Now, we must plan. Which, by the way, we have planning something.
We do.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. But from here on out, for you, it's important that we do something that's an experience.
Yes, but okay, we also have to deal with reality.
Sure.
So, like,
it's important, and that sounds fun.
But again, it's also that's the stage of life I'm at, right? Some of the women, they would rather stay home.
Maybe.
No, I know. I've said it. Yeah, like even we'll close out soon, guys. I don't even know how long we've been talking. I recently had tickets to see a concert. And I was going by myself, but you and another friend of ours were like, well, since you're going to be on this side of town, why don't you meet us for happy hour? And I was like, oh, this will be so fun. And they treated, which like, way cool. So we went out and like, I don't drink a lot. So it was like, I had 2 drinks, martinis. I put red lipstick on. I had this nice outfit with silver boots. I was feeling all fly.
It's like about the Wild.
Yes. The doors open at 7. Concert started at 8. At 7:05, I get an email that says the concert is canceled. I am irate. I'm infuriated. And both of them are packing up and they're like, I'm about to go in bed and watch some Dateline or whatever true crime it was. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I took an Uber here, which cost a lot of money. I'm now a little tipsy and I kind of want to stay out. I was like, okay. So I came home and watched true crime, but it was like, I'm just at a different place. Yes.
Because honestly,
but you guys have kids. Well, and you're working. I haven't worked in 2 years. I'm bored.
Yes.
No, and so
Regardless.
I have space for that because I understand it. And that's what I mean. Like people are in different places.
I am here for an experience
In the daytime.
But a 5:45.
I will also say that is one nice thing about female friendships as you age is we all want to be in bed early. And so it's like,
And hopefully it's okay because I actually know.
Hey, by the way, that night, even if you guys had stayed, I probably would have wanted to go home at 8:30. Like, it wasn't like I wanted to be out till 2 a.m.
But that sounds.
But I was already out. Like, I was like, this took a lot of effort.
Lipstick cannot go to waste.
Hey, girl, I was like, do you know how much this lipstick costs? I don't go anywhere and I am on a budget. I just wasted 2.3 cents of a lipstick.
Yeah. That's fair.
So ridiculous.
So fair.
But it's fair. It's fair. It's fair. But again, different stages, different lives. There is space and grace for all of that. And I can say that and not feel like I offended anybody. Right? It's like,
And we can be
that's what I love.
We're going to go to bed.
But I'm still going to bed. I know. I actually think that as we were leaving, I was talking to someone and you two were like,
bye.
This bitch. Like, I want to get out of here. And they're like, okay, you can stay here. See you later. I was like, I'm not staying here. I literally left 90 seconds later. That is what I think is beautiful about this 40-something friendship cycle that is happening is it's all, we know each other's quirks and picadillos, right? And we can make space for them and figure out how do we work
100%.
around them so that I can still love you without wanting to wring your neck.
Yeah. And go home.
And on that, we will close out. Thank you for joining us for the second time and bringing Vino. I appreciate it. Wait, hold up. What? Subscribe, like, follow, leave a review, share it with some friends. We need some more viewers. Come on. And if you want, call us to advertise. All right. Peace out.
Wait, Hold Up What is brought to you by the women at Eliminate Girl Hate. We are edited and mixed by the good people at Epiphany Recording Studio. Make sure to subscribe to get notified of new episodes and support our program. To learn more about the work we are doing, get resources to help you and or your business, please visit us at eliminategirlhate.com. And, of course, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us at Instagram at wait.holdup.what and eliminate_girl_hate. As always, your support means everything to us, and it is the way that we can continue to make positive and uplifting program that supports women and girls around the world. Thank you. We are sponsored by Epiphany Recording Studio. Creativity needs to flow freely if you want to reach that aha moment that we're all looking for. At Epiphany Recording Studio, their goal is to create space that takes full advantage of those moments. From podcast and video production to music creation, you get the support you need to create compelling stories with a competitive sound. Your ideas can flow freely because they partner with you free of judgment, ready to be vulnerable, do the work, and make your projects look and sound their best. So let Epiphany Recording Studio help you reach your artistic vision by visiting them today at epiphanyrecordingstudio.com. Tell them Dawne sent you. How many times have you heard the words workplace and culture used together and found yourself rolling your eyes at the thought? Believe me, I'm with you. I'll be honest, as I record this, I just rolled my eyes. That's because the word culture has become homogenized in such a way that they actually had us believing ping pong tables and pizza were symbolic of a good place to work. COVID changed that. Remote work was a success in the eyes of many, and as such, our ideas of what constitutes a good workplace culture have changed, and it boils down to one crucial element: equity. Now, don't you roll your eyes again on me. It's true. The expectation of employees is that they have a work environment and culture that works for them, regardless of who they are. No more cookie-cutter swag and Pizza Hut deliveries, mandatory after-hours happy hours, and all of the other things they do to make us feel like we're a family. This is especially true for women. Remote work gave many more hours in the day, the flexibility to feel more productive and present, and a choice in how and what style of work is best for who they are and what they do. This is at the core of what equity means, because the old way was made for one group of people. And this is where Eliminate Girl Hate comes in. We help create safe and equitable spaces for girls and women, and we help the companies that employ them be more profitable in the process. Not rolling your eyes anymore, are you? Check us out at eliminategirlhate.com. Use code WAITHOLDUPWHAT in your contact form for a free consultation call and see how we can help you and your business.